What if I were to tell you the biggest thing that is holding you back from getting into a relationship isn't your looks, isn't your bank account, it's not your social skills, it's your hyper-sexualized mind. You know, we're overwhelmed with sexualized content right now. We have no ability to create a genuine connection with a woman. And I know this also well because I struggled for a very long time with my impulse control and my ability to control my focus. And today I want to talk to you about how I desexualized my brain and how it changed my life. Welcome to the Great Men Are Built channel. I'm Matthew Manning, men's dating coach, and I help shy, introverted men in their 30s get into a real, authentic, long-term relationship. And so today I want to break down exactly what happened when I desexualized my brain. So I have to go back to when I was 25 years old, and I went through an awakening process, and I had completely no control over my sexual mind. My mind was at its all-time peak of sexuality and sexual content, and I was on all the porn sites and had it on my phone and on my computer, and I struggled with it deeply. And I struggled with also having a real connection with women and completely knowing how to talk to them, because at this point I just got sober for the first time. So everything was coming to the surface. And so what I did at that point was, it was right around the time when I started learning about semen retention as well. So I decided, because everything was so intense, that I was like, all right, that's it. I'm going celibate, and I'm going to try to get back my mind, because I hated how much women had control over my mind, and how much I couldn't focus. It was absolutely starting to piss me off. So I needed to make a change. So at that time period, I used willpower. I was using a lot of willpower. It was right when I first started getting into self-development, and I tried to force my way through life, and I really tried to change my mind. And that worked for a period of time. I was able to sustain it. But what happened is I had a big relapse, and I just completely went off the deep end. I completely relapsed. And so then I was like, okay, fine, that's it. I got to get back my mind. I got to figure something out. So I ended up, a couple things happened. I ended up going to Las Vegas to learn how to actually be with women in real life. And then I got really successful at that and become hyper-sexualized and obsessed with women and sexualizing them all the time and always trying to get laid, and felt a lot of shame, and I felt a lot of shame for that. And so then I went on another spiritual journey and went celibate again, but this time I actually gained control over my mind. And I finally cleansed myself. And I can tell you, by finally working through that part of my mind, and by the way, if anyone feels shame for this, you don't need to feel shame for your sexual desires. That's the challenge. We've been made to feel like shame for what we truly desire inside ourselves. And it's not necessary to have that shame. And when I cleared myself, that was the time where then I actually met my wife. And by clearing my mind, I was able to have a genuine connection. So something we got to lay a foundation before we get into the steps of this video is that little boys from the ages of 8 to 12, what happens is they're exposed to sexual content. And that will be the first time they'll be exposed to their sexuality generally in this era, right? With the social media and everything. So this is a big problem. This is a big problem at that age for your mind to be exposed. This is why so many little boys, as they become teenagers, are struggling with their sexuality or with sexual content. So this is a big challenge that we're facing with. And I work with men all the time, and I hear them, and I've had it myself. If you go and look on any of their feeds, or you were go to look at my feed on the past, right? It could just start from something simple as like, a volleyball, women's volleyball, or pole vaulting or something, and this comes up on the feed, or women trying on lingerie on YouTube, and we're bombarded by it. And if you already don't have a disciplined mind, because that's what it takes really, right? To have a disciplined mind in order for you to really work through this, you're going to get put into these traps, these thirst traps, and basically your internal landscape is hyper-sexualized. And now you don't stand a chance against content like this. And this becomes very challenging. So what we need to do is first thing we need to do is we need to, number one, we need to figure out the underlying feeling of what's going on when you want to go look at porn. Okay, so what do I mean by that? Right? So often a guy will be stressed at work, they'll be bored, there'll be some sort of feeling that they're wanting to avoid. And by avoiding it, what they do is immediately they get a sexualized thought, and their impulse control comes in and get a sexualized thought. And what it does is it helps them divert from the feeling of that sexual content, or from that feeling that they don't want to feel, right? And they do that with the sexual content. And so that's a big problem, because what starts to happen is you don't want to feel any tension in your life. And those feelings of tension or boredom are there for a reason. And by just going escaping, that's not going to help you. So that's the first thing that happens. And then the thing is what happens is you get cheap dopamine, right? So you're not feeling the sensations that you're feeling for a reason. There's a reason why you're feeling bored. There's a reason why you're feeling anger. And then rather than escaping them, because right now men are emotionally constipated. We have not been shown as little boys on how to regulate our emotions. Unfortunately, we're at a stage in our society where this is very important for men to now know how to regulate their emotions. Unfortunately, we haven't been talked to about our fathers about how to actually look at content or how to actually regulate our own emotions, because men just don't talk about this. We've been raised, it's kind of interesting, as boys, as little children, are right brain dominant. And so boys are actually underdeveloped in their ability to label their emotions. And so now when we feel these feelings, which we are not aware of, which are sensations, we don't talk about it, and we're supposed to repress them. And then this causes incredible dysregulation in the body. So then when we feel anger, we feel boredom, we don't talk about it. And then what happens? Boom, we go to the site because it's a cheap dopamine hit. And then we don't feel what we're actually feeling, which when we don't actually make a change. So the first thing we need to do is we need to get clear, where is that coming from? Where's that uncomfortable feeling coming from? This is huge. We need to really understand where the uncomfortable feelings are coming from and be with them. Number two, we need to create some excitement in our life. The challenge is your life's not really that exciting. You're just bored with your life. You have no adventures. You have no one to go around to do things with. So what happens is Friday night comes around. You haven't planned anything. You're not doing anything. And then all of a sudden what happens is you've texted all your friends. You've played your video games. And it's just a sequence of habits. Now you just go to the site, right? So what we have to do is we have to create some adventure. You have to create some challenge. You have to go and need some resistance in your life. This is very, very helpful in order for you to really start to change your life and claim back your focus. Because that's really what we want to do. Is I think of our mind like um, some sort of like atmosphere around your mind, right? And you want to cleanse that. You want to clean that. You want to get that focus back, because then when you get that focus back, you can complete tasks all the way through. So the main thing that we want to understand in this is have that adventure, or do something outside of just being bored in your life. You have to create some sort of adventure, create some sort of great challenge, whatever that looks like for you. You need to create some excitement in your life. Next, what we need to do is we need to identify the thirst traps. We need to identify on your feed, who are the accounts on social media, what are the accounts that you're following that cause you to get pulled into these thirst traps, right? What are those channels that you're following on your YouTube? Right now, I want to ask you, if I were to come open up your phone, how would you feel? And I'd look at your explore page on Instagram, or I'd look at your explore page on YouTube. What would come up if I looked at your history, right? What would come up? Because what starts to happen is it can be something simple on YouTube, and next thing you know, 30 minutes later, you're on a porn site, right? So we have to identify and understand where these are coming from. This is really, really important. So what you need to do is you need to block those accounts. We need to create some discipline here. So you have to unfollow some of them, you have to delete some of them, and you have to unsubscribe, because these are a big challenge that you're facing, and it's really causing you to not really succeed in your focus and having your clean consciousness back. Because we got to, it's like cleansing the mind, right? It's like going on a detox for your mind. We have to cleanse that. So once you block that, now we have to understand, you want to understand this content. It's called like a cheap dopamine hit, right? There's nothing wrong with dopamine. Dopamine's great. It's a great feel good experience. It's helpful for our brain. But when we get these empty calories, these empty mental calories, we have to clear them out. So number 4 is we have to stop seeking empty calorie dopamines. So this dopamine that we're getting, these places inside our mind, this cheap dopamine, it's empty calories. It's not adding to your life. I want you to audit your content that you're watching. Is it making you better? Is it causing you to become a better man? Is it causing you to grow? These are the things we want to consider when we're cleansing and desexualizing our mind. Is we want to audit what kind of dopamine we're getting, right? Because dopamine, while you're out with your friends having fun, these types of dopamine, for me personally, I get dopamine by being in nature. I feel good by being in nature. What starts to happen is it's like healthy dopamine. But these empty calories, think about it. It's like being in the gym, right? When you're working out in your body, like if you just go eat empty calories, you're not going to build your body. Well, that's the same thing with this dopamine from going on porn sites and going into these, and here's the thing, right? You'll be sitting on the toilet, right? And your girlfriend or your wife or, someone's in the other room. And next thing you know, you're on a porn site. Like, this isn't healthy. This is something that we have to take control of. So number 4, we need to stop seeking empty calories. This is really important. And a way that I found that helped me was by taking all of it off the phone. That was the first thing, just deleting and taking it all off the phone. And this takes time, okay? This takes a lot of time. It's not something that's going to happen just like right away. I remember it took me about 4 years to fully get my mind back from the beginning when I started this journey. But the easiest one that I found at the beginning was just deleting everything. That was really helpful, just unfollowing, deleting, and taking full control of my mind. I can remember I was working with a client and I asked him to show me his Instagram, and he would constantly show me like women and all that, and I'm like, dude, you have a girlfriend. Like, how is this helping your mind? Your mind's becoming so hyper-sexualized. Like, we need to clear this thing. So you're making it a lot harder on yourself if you're constantly looking at that content and you want to claim your mind back, which is really important. So that's really, really key. And next, what you need to do is you need to sit with it. Okay, so you need to replace it with something. So one of the things that I found that would be very helpful is I would sit in nature, literally in nature, like I'm doing right now. And when I felt the impulse to have to go look at the site, go on the porn site, or go uh, on my phone in this way, what I would do is I would go to nature and I'd sit with the feeling, and I'd be with the feeling. I'm like, hey, what feeling am I trying to avoid right now? What feeling am I trying to cultivate? What's underneath it? And I sat with it. So replacing it with either like working out, you could journal, you could meditate, you could do breath work. A big one that helps me is the sauna. Going to the sauna, that's a perfect one. And then what I would do is I put my head right over the heat and have all the heat come up. And this really, really helps me. So what we need to do is we need to replace it with something healthy, right? So we need to first sit with it, right? We have to sit with the discomfortable feelings of, why is this feeling coming up? What's this impulse? And what you're doing is you're taking control back of your impulse control. Now, next, what starts to happen is your mind is sexualized and it's misreading clues. So what starts to happen is when your brain is misreading the cues, you're getting a constant exposure, and it's teaching you to sexualize women constantly, right? And you can imagine how this, I mean, I know you're experiencing it because I did too, but you can imagine how this plays into how you're interacting with women, right? It's constantly ruining your interaction. So this is something that we need to do, is we need to get back control of our mind so we're not misreading cues anymore. So I want you to start by practically rewiring your brain, okay? So the first thing I need you to do is I need you to identify your emotional triggers towards sexual content. So I need you to identify when you feel that urge, when you feel that feeling inside yourself. I need you to identify that and understand where it's coming from. So I want you to label it, right? Like, am I feeling stressed? You'll say, okay, I'm identifying I'm feeling stressed. Or am I feeling anger? Am I feeling rage? Am I feeling boredom? What is it? What's the feeling that you're feeling? And I need you to identify that emotional trigger, because that's going to help you break the pattern. So you first need to bring, and this journey that you're going on, it's requiring you to develop consciousness, an awareness inside yourself, which is very, very powerful. So the first thing I need you to do to rewire your brain, I need you to identify your emotional triggers towards sexual content. Next, I need you to replace that sexual content with an excitement, something exciting. Go have an adventure. Go out with your friends. Go out for a walk. Go to a movie. Whatever it is you need to do to switch up, to go have a bit of fun and create genuine excitement in order to rewire your brain, to switch the impulse control to giving yourself quick dopamine. And finally, the action step that I need you to take, I need you to cut out all thirst traps and triggers out of social media. You got to block, delete, take off everything. It's going to make it way easier on your life. If you're having all these distractions, it's going to basically take away from your ability to focus. And I can tell you from my journey that having your mind and your consciousness cleaned, you know, this is very powerful. And I just went through a recovery program. Another thing that could be very helpful is you could get a guy that is on the same journey as you are on, and you could have an accountability. So what you could do is you could tell him every time, and this is very powerful. When you have accountability and then you vocalize it, it's very, very powerful. So you could text your buddy and be like, hey, I'm about to watch, I need your support. And you could call them up. This is very powerful. I was just in a recovery program, and they have sex Alcoholics Anonymous, which is very, very powerful. And I think talk therapy is very, very powerful. I just went through one myself, and it's extremely healthy. At least I found a ton of benefits. And I noticed that what they do is they set you up with accountability as well. So this could be something that you could basically start to implement and get benefits and start actually taking control of your mind. And what starts to happen when you start to take control of your mind? When you start to have your focus, when your consciousness is clean, there's a huge power that you claim back in your life. Now I want to ask you this. Do you really want this mind when you're going to go meet your ideal woman? Do you want to be constantly overridden by all of these sexual thoughts, and you have no ability to talk to her? You have all this anxiety. Maybe it's playing so much in that you can't even get pleasured by just irregular expectations, right? This is deep stuff. And this is really your first step in taking back your consciousness. And when you have that focus, now what you can do is think about the tasks that you can complete. Think about how healthy your mind is. Think about what the thoughts that go towards. You're basically getting back your thought capital, which is so important, because in this day and age, when we're so distracted, we're getting gnawed at. Our consciousness is constantly getting gnawed at, and it's basically making it impossible for you to basically focus and do the actual things you want to do in your life. So really consider these steps in the journey of desexualizing your mind. I can tell you from my personal experience, it's been absolutely much better now. I think of my mind now to what I was when I was stuck in all of this, and I dealt with this. And by the way, I'm not here to shame anyone that is in this right now. It's important. You know, the challenge is men have been shamed for feeling these feelings, but this is a natural desire. Sex is enjoyable. It's an enjoyable thing. In fact, for me, I went to Vegas to pursue it to such a degree that I needed to cleanse myself based upon the act of sex as well. But sex in a loving, healthy relationship is very, very powerful. It actually takes your mind to the gamma wave, which is the highest state, which is where like monks and those types of people are in their state. There, it takes you to the highest gamma wave, which is very powerful. So that's why it's a beautiful thing. It's the act of creation, right? It's a creative energy. But what we need to do is we need to get in control of our sexual energy. And repressing isn't the answer either. I've repressed on my journey. That's not the answer either. What you want to do is you want to harness and embrace your sexual energy, embrace your sexual desires, but channel them in a healthy way. And that's what I was ended up doing. And now I'm in a healthy, loving relationship with my wife, and my mind is so much more clean, and I'm way more productive with my thoughts and my time and my energy, which is just incredible. And I want that for you. So if you want more support with this, click the link below. Let's jump on a call. Let's see if you're a fit for some coaching, and let's get you to finally take control of your dating life. Let's get you in a relationship that's healthy, that's one that's enjoyable, that's your partner, that adds to your life, that you work towards a vision together, that allows you to feel amplified and allows you to really start claiming the life that you're wanting to live. So click the link below if you want to jump on a call. And also let me know, which one do you struggle with the most? Drop a comment below. And make sure you subscribe, and let's keep continuing to desexualize our mind and take control of our life, because this is very, very powerful. So with that, take care and have a wonderful rest of your day.